Good morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning live recording. You are part of our live Facebook audience, and I know that's thrilling. You're welcome. Let me plug in stuff in. We'll change the camera here. So when we do these live, if you have comments or questions about the two headlines we're talking about today, feel free to include those, and there's a good chance that you'll make the show. This show is for next Monday, this particular one. And by the way, we're kind of scrambling here in the basement today. We have Caden, the intern, helping out, and he actually, for the first time, helped us write this show. So, nice job, Caden. And but we have Peter Paulson coming in from Tiller, and he's going to join us right back here. So if you're hanging out on our Facebook page, you'll see that there's a countdown going on right now where Peter's going to join us for a big question answer session on budgeting. So that's coming up soon. We got a busy day on Facebook today, huh? But this is, this is a little different because it's an audio podcast, but that we're just recording in front of you. All right. It is a crazy day in the basement. You can see all kinds of stuff. We've been moving furniture around as we've done some carpet cleaning today. Well, yesterday. All right. Today's mug, Multnomah Falls. Multnomah, is that the way you say it? In the Columbia River Gorge in Oregon. One of the most beautiful places. Absolutely love it. So that's today's mug. Take a quick drink and we're ready to go. Super hot. Okay. This is for Monday. Welcome to your new favorite way to start your morning. It's called Money in the Morning. Hey, everybody. I'm Joe Salci, Average Joe Money on Twitter. And on today's podcast, we're taking two financial headlines. Going to not only read them, but we'll also tell you kind of in a financial planning manner what you should think about those two headlines. And at the end of the show, we'll fuse them together into one big idea you can take and make your day just that much brighter. That's all today and every day, 5 days a week on Money in the Morning. Money in the Morning is sponsored by Tiller. Tiller, our friends at Tiller, help us so much when it comes to spreadsheeting. If you're a spreadsheet nerd like Mom is, you definitely want a piece of Tiller because you can spreadsheet to your heart's content. Get as crazy as you want with the spreadsheet. And at the same time, you've got all the data you need right at your fingertips. How does it work? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/Tiller for details. All right, you got places to go, so let's get moving.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamins headlines.
First headline comes to us from CBS News and CBS Money Watch. This is a real estate headache that I hadn't thought about. It makes sense. Real estate headache. Baby boomers who won't sell their homes. This is written by Amy Peachy at Money Watch. Thanks to their sheer numbers, the baby boomers have shaped society, driving social change and the economic expansion since the 1970s. But now they're influencing society in a new way by holding on to their homes. The oldest baby boomers are now in their early 70s, an age that in previous generations signaled a desire to downsize into condos and apartments. But economists are finding that boomers aren't yet downsizing, at least not in the numbers that some of them had predicted. That may be adding to the ongoing inventory crunch facing home buyers, said Zillow senior economist Aaron Terrazas. Boomers are healthier and working longer than previous generations, which means They aren't yet ready to sell their homes and strike out for retirement developments. And some may not want to sell their homes because they then must jump into the home buyer's market, which is suffering from low inventory and high prices. Quote, several years ago, there was an expectation as baby boomers move into retirement, there'd be a surge of homes hitting the market, Terraza said. That really hasn't materialized. It's funny that we thought that at all, isn't it? Because if you think about your house, I love the place that I live. There are lots of people that don't want to work in their mom's basement, but like we do famously at Stacking Benjamins, there's nothing wrong with working in your mom's basement. We like that, but I love my house. I want to stay in my house. I enjoy being here. I work from home. So when it comes to your house, people moving, I think as people age, they really hang on to sentimental stuff, don't they? I mean, it's older people that I know that have all the knickknacks and have all the stuff, and people don't sell their house and just move. I'm not at all surprised, but what this does signal is that because baby boomers were on the leading edge of moving to some of these high priced areas like San Francisco, Austin, Texas, you look at some of these housing markets where the housing prices have gone up so substantially in a short period of time, it makes it very difficult for a millennial, let's say, or somebody who works in a close to downtown area to find housing that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And I think that the way to deal with this when it comes to your financial plan is one of three ways. The first one is you're going to have to focus on a higher price for your house. And guess what, kids? If boomers aren't selling now and you're around in 10 to 15 years when they may have to sell for a number of reasons, maybe going into a long-term care facility, maybe having some issues like running out of money, like we talk about all the time, people not having enough money, so they have to sell, maybe downsize the house that they had. As more houses inevitably will hit the market, I think if you're buying today, that means that with very few houses on the market, you're going to have to be willing to hold out longer and not look at this house as a return. I get frustrated whenever I hear somebody talk about their house as their castle, as their biggest investment. Your house is not an investment. And clearly, if you're buying in a hot real estate market right now, so you can be closer to work, it definitely is not going to be investment unless it's an investment in yourself, right? Investment in your commute, investment in your way of life. But in terms of investment with return attached beyond these nice returns, to have a monetary return, I think that's going to be more negligible than ever. So our first headline about boomers not selling their houses, I think the takeaway is, number one, be prepared for a more costly commute. Number two, pay a higher price. Or number three, get really creative. My son lives in a house where there's 10 people living in two beautiful houses sitting on one lot. One guy owns both houses. He lives in this house, by the way, with 9 roommates, right? He's outsourced his mortgage plus more to 9 other people. And if you can buy a house, but be willing to have roommates who maybe help you pay that more expensive mortgage, you might actually be able to turn it into a return on investment. Who knows? But getting creative, I think, is number 3. Higher home prices, be willing to commute further, or get creative. Those are your 3 choices that you can control. Good to say hi to everybody watching on Facebook today. We do this show live in front of a Facebook audience. And you know what? Facebook is quiet this morning, man. Maybe because in just a little bit after we record this, we're having our SB Live, where we're going to be talking to Peter Polson from Tiller. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this, you can find that on our Facebook page. We would have had it a few days ago. Stacking Benjamins, or facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. Go back and you can see Peter talking about spreadsheets, talking about budgeting and tracking expenses. And he's not just talking about Tiller. He's going to talk about many different hacks and answering people's questions. So hope you tune into that. So let's move on to our second headline, which comes to us from Yahoo Finance. You've read this a lot lately, kids. The Medicare crisis is almost here. If you're a stacker like I am, it's going to be maybe a little different game here coming up. Let's read. This is written by Rick Newman. If you knew a financial reckoning we're doing 30 years, would you freak out? Probably not. Heck, you might be dead by then. 20 years? No, not really. What about 8 years from now? That might get your attention. And that's where we stand with Medicare, the giant healthcare program for those 65 and older. The latest annual assessment of the financial health of the Medicare and Social Security programs finds that the main reserve fund that helps finance Medicare will run dry by 2026. That's 3 years sooner than the government predicted last year. The Hospital Insurance Trust Fund, as it's called, helps cover the cost of Medicare Part A, which includes hospital visits, home health services, nursing facilities, and hospice care. The insolvency of the fund doesn't mean Medicare will go broke. It means there'll be no money in reserve, leaving only current tax inflows to cover Medicare's costs. In 2026, those tax revenues will cover 91% of the cost for Medicare Part A. According to the program's trustees, the portion of costs covered by tax revenue will fall to 78% by 2039 and then improve gradually after 2039. This stuff is ugly. And the frustrating part is it's not going to get solved very quickly. We obviously have some stallouts happening in Congress right now, don't we? So the frustration that you might have wondering what's going to happen with Medicare, I think we're all wondering what's going to happen with Medicare. I love Jane Bryant Quinn's take on this. If you don't know who Jane Bryant Quinn is, she's been a phenomenal financial writer for a number of years, written several books. If you look at the Stacking Benjamin show and go back in our archives, you'll find Jane Bryant Quinn's great appearance on our show. But with things like Medicare and Social Security, these are two of the biggest entitlement programs in the United States. And the difficulty in getting rid of them is the number of voters. Talking about baby boomers, kids, the number of voters out there that are in those age groups. If I'm a politician that says we need to change the game with Medicare or Social Security, I immediately am creating political suicide. Even if I'm trying to save the program, I'm going to get attacked. Makes it really frustrating. And it actually makes it, like Jane says, for the program to get fixed until we get to the point that politicians are going to get criticized if they don't fix it. And we're not there yet. We won't be there till almost the last second, right? That's what we always see out of Washington. I think that's probably the case now. But we don't need to prognosticate. We can only control so much. So when it comes to healthcare, here's what I like. I like making sure that your healthcare costs are a big part of your financial plan. Like in retirement, when you're looking at your retirement expenses, bump those babies up because we don't know what healthcare is going to be. And listen, if you can retire with healthcare expenses at a bigger number and healthcare somehow magically, right? Like a trip to Cinderella's castle, everybody clicks their heels together 3 times and says there's no place like Medicare and it's all fixed. Wouldn't that be great? If it is fixed, well, then you've got extra money. How fantastic is that? It's going to be great. I would absolutely love that. Hey, guess what? I had all this money I thought I was going to spend on healthcare, but I don't. Do I hope that's the case? Yes, I do. Do I think that's going to be the case? No, I don't. I think you're going to spend a lot of money on healthcare. So make sure that you've bumped up your healthcare costs for retirement planning while you're doing your plan. I think that's the best scenario. Hey, we finally got some chatter out there on Facebook. So we're going to say hello to those people. Since we already talked about Tiller a second time, head to stackingbenjamins.com/Tiller for more there. Our friend Justin in Germany's here. Hey, Justin. We have either Shireen or Paul here. I think it's probably Paul because I was just talking to him a little bit ago. Hey, Paul. Susan's here. Hey, Susan. And Craig's here. We've got some people saying hello, and our good friend Ryan is here. Awesome. We've got a few people finally waking up on our Facebook channel. All right. We do this at the end of every single show. We take these 2 ideas and we put them together into something we call the big idea for you to take away this morning. And let's go back over our 2 headlines, shall we? Headline number 1 was all about real estate headaches. Boomers ain't moving. We don't know when they're going to start moving, but at some point they will. So if you're making real estate moves, I think be prepared to pay more to be close to a central place like a downtown area, or make sure that a commute figures into your financial plan, or get creative. Like the guy that rents to my son, 2 great houses on 1 lot, rents to 9 people, beautiful places to live. People love living there. This guy's living for free and making money. So get creative that way. Or a different way. The second headline we had was about healthcare, and healthcare costs. Looks like the fund helping to fund the reserve of Medicare going to run out of money in 8 years unless something happens. I think the big takeaway is healthcare costs should loom large in your plan. But there's a big idea, which is this. Guys, these two things that we talked about today, both of these things that we discussed today are things that historically I've seen send people into a panic. Oh, real estate. I'm going into the real estate market and I don't know what to do about my house. I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to freeze. Things are going to freeze. I'm going to worry about this a lot and I'm going to freeze. And then we start hearing that Social Security might run out of money. Medicare might run out of money. And we go, what if? And we spend all our time going, what if? And we get nothing done. And I love this idea on focusing on the things that you can control. I've been frustrated sometimes that we'll have these fantastic money conversations and these great conversations about all these cool hacks you can do, right? I love our Friday FinTech segment on the Stacking Benjamin show, where we are constantly talking about all the cool technology and innovative people out there kind of breaking the system and making things more fun. And the number of times we've heard from people about some of the hacks that we've shared, that they were able to save a bunch of money, even though you don't learn anything from us, which is fantastic, right? How great is it to not learn anything and get some cool hacks? If you can do cool things with your money and be proactive, that's great. Yet, I love playing this game, HQ Trivia. HQ Trivia is trivia. And by the way, at the end of the 12 questions, if you do win, you get about $1.50? Usually less than that, like 85 cents, because they split the $10,000 among everybody who wins. 1.2 million people looking at that. And you look at the financial discussions, a good financial show will have 25,000 people watching, maybe, right? And yet trivia, where I'm going to get $1.25, a lot of people majoring in minor stuff. If you focus on the things you can control and stick to the big things like we talked about last week, stick to decisions about healthcare, about your transportation, and about your home, you get those three things right, you nail those, I think you're going to do fantastic in life. That's our big idea for today. Focus on what you can control. Everything else, let it go, man. Let it go. Go stack some Benjamins, kids. We'll see you next time, stackers, back here at Money in the Morning.
Money in the Morning is created by Joe Saul-Sehy and is brought to our channels by our producer and engineer, Richie Rutter-Reese. Stacking Benjamins and Money in the Morning are for entertainment purposes. Before making moves, consult with your financial advisor. Looking for training sessions? Kathleen Selmans has a great suite of Stacking Benjamins tools, so head on over to learn.stackingbenjamins.com. Hoping to chat with us on the web? Say hello to Shannon Cowan, our social media guru and community manager in our Facebook group. She can be found at stackingbenjamins.com/basement. From the basement, I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. See you tomorrow.
Hearing about healthcare collapsing, Jason, and hearing about healthcare collapsing. Hopefully not doctor's office for you. Hopefully for the newborn. Hope everybody's doing great. All right, guys, 18 minutes, and we're going to be talking budgets with Tiller, with Peter Polson from Tiller. So join us back here then. That was fun. By the way, if you're here in the future, I want to make these more interactive as much as possible. So if we're going through this and you want to comment about the headline that we're talking about, feel free to jump on the comments and you may make the show. Holy cow, we got a lot going on here this week. It is a crazy, crazy week and having a lot of fun, but man, I can't wait till it's a little less crazy. All right, guys, we'll see you back here 17 minutes now. Bye-bye.